Welcome you today to the National Wellness Action Alliance Fall 2022 series. Our speaker today will be Dr. Angela Owens. Dr. Owens has over 25 years of leadership experience. She holds a doctorate in healthcare systems leadership and started her professional career as a cardiac critical care nurse, where she served patients and families for over 10 years. She transitioned into nursing education and into leadership within the setting of academia, where she's currently the academic chair for Purdue University's Global DNP program. She's the president-elect of Sigma Phi Rho chapter. Dr. Owens is certified as an executive coach through the Center for Executive Coaching and has her professional certified coach through the International Coaching Federation. She also holds certifications in Genos Emotional Intelligence, EQI 2.0, EQ 360, and Women in Leadership. She's a Myers-Briggs type indicator practitioner, as well as a certified conversational intelligence coach. And I will turn it over to you, Dr. Owens.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I really appreciate being able to be here with you guys today and talk about something that's really near and dear to my heart, which is emotional resilience, and how can we cultivate that within ourselves, our colleagues, our faculty, our students. How do we get emotional resilience developed? Sorry. I'm having trouble running my slides all of a sudden. Objectives for today is we'll discuss what is emotional resilience, identify different factors affecting emotional resilience, and then learn how to apply techniques for increasing emotional resilience. So first of all, what is resilience? When we think about something that's resilient, we think about, something that's going to bounce back, or, go back to its original shape if we're thinking strictly along the lines of like physics. But for humans, it's a little bit more difficult. And resilience is, it's someone's ability to adapt to very difficult and challenging experiences through flexibility and adjusting. And the best way to really understand resilience is it's a combination of a variety of different factors: biological, psychological, social, and ecological even, that help people in developing the ability to adapt and to bounce back. So our individual views and experiences that have, occurred throughout our lives all build to the development of resilience. And having the right kind of social resources and developing the right kind of strategies during difficult times that we do encounter helps us to build that resilience. But one thing that is very important to remember is that being resilient doesn't mean that you will not encounter adversity or stress or have situations that are traumatic. Each individual responds to each situation in a different manner. So one of the things I kind of like to use as an example here is when you think about a crisis, and healthcare is full of crises, right? When you think about a crisis, each person who is within that crisis is experiencing something very different, very individualized, and very personal. So it can be a challenge to take those experiences and then learn how to develop resilience from them. So emotional resilience is really grounded in having a good understanding of emotional intelligence, having realistic optimism. It's the person who's trying to see the positive in the middle of the adversity. It's an ability to be proactive. So instead of, thinking about, well, who's going to come and help, who's going to fix this, the emotional resilient person looks for ways to intervene and to help others and to kind of stay calm and to be able to fix things during a crisis. And there's also, nature and nurture. There have been studies done that show that there are undoubtedly people who have a more innate ability to have emotional resilience. And it comes back to that whole premise that emotional resilience is based in our genetics, our DNA, literally, biological, physical, environmental, how are we brought up, and those types of things. So definitely nature plus nurture in a person's ability to have emotional resilience and their ability to be able to lead others through a crisis or to remain calm and to then be able to take a step back and look at, okay, what happened? What were the circumstances? What could I control? What could I do differently next time? So it's quite a complex thought in developing emotional resilience. There are lots of factors that influence an individual's emotional resilience and their level of emotional resilience. The confidence, their support systems, and that can be family support, colleague support, institutional support, and life experiences. People who have had a lot of challenging experiences early on in their lives and have seen positive outcomes and who have been able to push through and see the good, even though there was a lot of bad, are able to develop better resilience and better emotional resilience. Optimism, looking for the positives again. What is something good that is coming out of this? And sometimes, as we all know, that can be very, very hard to do because there really just doesn't seem to be anything good that is happening. Self-awareness, a person's ability to understand their own emotions and why those emotions are happening and how to control those emotions, are all really important here as well. Having good problem-solving skills, being able to reach out to resources, find support, find information, find whatever's needed to deal with the issue, or sometimes just, taking a step back and saying, okay, this is where we are. This is what's happening. This is what we can't control. This is what we can control. And we need to move forward. So having those good types of problem solving skills are really, really important in the development of emotional resilience. Coping skills are things that are developed over time, but these also really influence emotional resilience. How have you coped with a situation in the past? Have you encountered a similar situation in the past? Have you observed someone who's encountered a situation similar to this? And what was the reaction? How did they handle it? Was there something that you observed that could have been done better? Was there something that you observed that you really admired in that person? and their ability to deal with the situation. And how could you then take those coping skills for your own and use those when you come up against some challenges? So there are quite a few things that we can do to increase emotional resilience. We can foster optimism, and it's not a blind optimism. It's that realistic optimism. So, okay, this is bad, but what can we do? I went to a conference several years ago, and our booth setup didn't show up. So this was kind of funny. But we were all ready to have our booth at our Sigma conference, and the stuff that was supposed to arrive didn't arrive like on time at all. And then we were told by the time it came in, the conference would be over. And okay, that was very disappointing. And my team was pretty upset, but we just took a step back and we're like, okay, well, what can we do? How do we deal with this? And, this is not a very, high emotional stakes type of situation, but it was disappointing not to have your stuff show up. So we went and found a FedEx office. We can print some things. We got some things done. And right around the corner was a TJ Maxx. We got stuff to decorate with. And in the end, it was just really a positive experience because the team came together and they were like, okay, this looked really bleak. And we were going to have a table with no tablecloth, with none of our information, but our name was going to be up there, our chapter's name, and it was going to look really bad. So what could we do? And we just pulled together and we were able to, make something really positive out of it, instead of just giving up. So, it's important to take stock of, the situation, what's going on, and what you can do to influence it. And, we knew we weren't going to have the best looking booth ever, but we were going to have a really nice one for what we could accomplish. So, having that optimism was really important. It's like, it's going to be okay. We can get through this. We can do this. Again, it's not a high stakes type example there, but it is a a low level example of what a simple crisis could look like. Facing your fears. So, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of in different situations? So, if you're a student, we've all been there. You're afraid of what the grade's going to be on that paper when you get it back. And so sometimes, that causes people to go into almost paralysis. They don't want to work on the paper. They're afraid to turn it in. Then they start, really critiquing themselves. But turning it in and facing the fear, well, what's the absolute worst that can happen? I put forth a good effort. So what is it going to look like when I get this grade back? And then getting the grade back and having it not be as awful as you thought it might be. Or even if it is, getting good feedback on what you could do better in the future. Taking that feedback and being able to process it and say, okay, well, that's really not as bad as what I was afraid of. And now I'm able to look at this from a different perspective and see that I got a lot of things that I could learn from here. So I'm getting a lot of great feedback. And the next time I write a paper, it's going to be amazing. So being able to face the fears, having a good moral compass, knowing right from wrong, and understanding how to help others is also important. Practicing spirituality, not any specific religion necessarily, but having a good mindset and being mindful of what is going on in your life and around you and what your feelings are. Good social support, having a team to lean on, having the knowledge that if you're having challenges, that you have somebody you can go to who's going to help you, talk through those challenges, listen to you as you're figuring out new ways to get through whatever it is that the challenge can be. We talked a little bit earlier about finding a role model who you can look up to, who, when they're handling something difficult, you can say, "Oh, I really like the way they did that," or maybe even, "Oh, no, that didn't go like we thought. I would have done that differently." Something really important is physical well-being, because if you are not physically feeling okay, and you're having some challenges, then that is also going to impact your ability to have emotional resilience and to even have emotional control many times. So making sure that you're taking good care of yourself, your physical self. Always seek to learn from every experience and to keep your brain engaged and learning as much as you can about the things that you are concerned with and the things that you would like to see changed. It's really good to stay engaged and developing different ways to cope. And lastly, but not leastly, find meaning in what you do. So the Wellbeing Index team in 2021 surveyed over 28,000 nurses. And of those 28,000 nurses, 58% indicated high levels of stress. 64% of those said that they experienced burnout. 65% attested to emotional problems. 26% said there's not enough time for their personal life. But 82% expressed having meaning in their work. So this was during the height of the pandemic. And there was another study done with a much, much smaller sample size. LeBrock and De Los Santos, they surveyed 325 nurses. 37.8% of those reported COVID anxiety. And this was in 2020. So we were really just starting to understand what we were dealing with here. But one thing that really stood out in this particular survey was that nurses who exhibited resilience perceived higher organizational and social support and reported lower anxiety related to COVID-19. So how can we help others, and how can we foster emotional resilience within our environments? We can be that support. We can be that role model, and we can provide resources. So, I think we could probably all look back on a time in our educational careers, whether as students or as faculty, and we can see that there have been those people that really lifted us up and supported us when we needed it the most. And then there were those who didn't. And so I think that that's another good example of how did it make you personally feel when you knew that you could ask questions, you knew that you could get the support you needed. We all need that. We need to know that we can go to someone and we can ask questions. We will have somebody who wants to listen, someone who wants to help. So if we're helping, we can provide that support. We can role model overcoming different challenges, and by not lashing out or taking anything out on anyone. And we can provide resources for our colleagues and for each other, for ourselves, for our students, in order to be able to cultivate the emotional resilience that is so needed, especially in our healthcare professions. So I really just wanted to end really quickly on this quote by Nelson Mandela. So do not judge me by my success, but judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Also, this brought to mind a really good friend of mine who is a retired Navy SEAL. And one of the things he was talking about was that during one of the most difficult missions that they had, and all he could think about was just one more step. Just take one more step. So if the situation or the challenge seems too overwhelming, just keep moving one step at a time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Owens. And there is a question in the queue right now. So the question is, I was wondering what resources you would suggest to improve coaching skills?
That's a good question. There are lots out there. So improving coaching skills, I will put a couple of things in the, that's not going to work. I can type it to everyone. Sorry, I was going to put a couple of, like a website in the chat box, if that's okay. There are lots of different coaching resources out there and improving skills for coaching. Like I went through a formalized training program and have ongoing continuing education through them. But this is one institution that's really good to work with on improving coaching. And even if you just want to learn a little bit more about coaching, it's WebEx, and they're a really great group of coaches. And they have a big push for ethical coaching. So, but it's a great resource.
Okay, thank you so much. And yes, we do have recordings of the webinars that we will continue to post on our website. So if you look in the chat right now, actually, you can link to that. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Owens? Okay, well, we thank you so much. And to all of our participants, we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much, Dr. Owens.
Thank you so much.